Greetings, my brothers and my sister. We thank you for tuning in to the Sacred Shift Media broadcast, and we are grateful that you have taken time out to observe and to hear what will be communicated here tonight. We are just kind of laid back on this, what they call Easter Sunday, and we want to give a few advertisements before we get started into our teachings. We ain't going to be with you long today. Our moderator is out today, so we want things to go smoothly. And sometimes that becomes difficult when I'm trying to maneuver everything. And so our first advertisement is now is available on Amazon, our Sacred Shift trilogy. This is my first book in the trilogy called From Faith to Consciousness. We have since redesigned the front cover, so don't let the front cover confuse you. But go to Amazon and check out this book. This book is, I think, is a great read if you're looking to ascend or to understand your position as you pursue spirituality or religion. This book will help you make that transition. So go to Amazon and type in my name or type in From Faith to Consciousness, and the book will come up. We also got coming up a couple other books that is in the trilogy. That's not the book I want to show you. We want to show you these two books here. There's The Sacred Shift from Reactive Faith to Consciousness Awareness. That's coming forward. Also, from reactive, well, that's the same one, From Reactive Faith to Consciousness. We also have this book coming forward, these two books. These are the next two books in the trilogy. Beyond Religion, Awakening the Creator Within. That's your next book coming out. And then You and Your Genetics and A Consciousness Awakening will be following that. So we are strategically putting them out there, and we want you to check one out. Check one out and see if it's something that you can read or something that you can follow. So go to Amazon. We're going to be putting out some pre-orders here soon. But we want you to get that first book, From Faith to Consciousness. All right. Let's talk about what we're going to be talking about today. We have been teaching on responsibility before revelation. And responsibility before revelation is about, before you can get revelation from the Creator, you have to show yourself to be faithful, and responsible. The information that you can get from the Creator cannot benefit you if you are not responsible in it. And so let's go to our slide. I want what I want to do. I want to remove that. That's another book that's coming out. Faith is faith the substance, but love is the key. Faith is the substance. The cover is being redesigned right now, but as faith is the substance, but love is the key. It's coming out after the trilogy, so look forward to that. All right, we've been talking about the responsibility before revelation, and we talked about responding and reacting. You know, are you responding or are you reacting to your experiences that are presented to you as you process through this matrix? So reaction, when you react, you're going into a survival mode. Reaction is survival, not identity. It's not who you are, is what you become because you're trying to survive through a situation. So when you react, you automatically start to protect, okay? And reaction is predicated on past memories, okay? Past memories that's jumping up. You may be in a relationship with someone and an experience take place between the two of you. And because you had that experience in a previous relationship, you're reacting the way you did in the previous relationship in the new relationship, which could cause some problems. Okay. That's part of the problem with reacting. When you react, reaction becomes the authority. It becomes the authority. And you don't want reaction to be your authority. You want to always be in control of your experiences. Because as I shared with you, experiences are multiple. Okay. And 9 times out of 10, in those experiences, emotions are involved. Okay. And so you got to understand that those emotions are just energies. Okay. They are energies. Okay. There's not just one emotion, there are a plethora of emotions that enters into your experience. And so you want to always be the authority and not react, but respond. Respond. If you begin to respond, and get used to responding, then you will, in your spirit, have a moment called pause. I call it pause, or if I presented it into this system, I would say pray. Usually, when a situation happens, we pray, we take time, and it may take a couple of days in our prayer, okay, on how we're going to manage a particular situation. However, if you are connected to your conscious, your inner awareness, then during this time of decision, it's kind of like time delays. A pause will enter into your life, and that pause in the spirit realm is what we call prayer. And because we are in the spirit realm, trying to figure out how we're going to manage this particular situation, it happens almost instantaneously because nothing happened in the physical until it first happens in the spiritual. So if you are dictating your outcomes spiritually, then they manifest in the physical realm, then you're responding, okay? Because you are the authority. Okay. Now, transformation begins when protection is no longer confused with purpose. Okay. Purpose. If any man lack wisdom, the scripture says, let them ask God. Okay. So, wisdom is understanding your purpose of why you are here, why you are in this situation, why you are in that situation. There will be multiple situations to whereas you may have a purpose to play in that situation. And so you need to understand that purpose, okay, what your purpose is. A lot of time we get confused about it. You know, we fall to the flesh, and we no longer understand why we exist. Okay, so we want to be careful with that. We want to be careful with that. So let's go to the next slide. Now, reaction is a nervous system event. I don't know if I went over this the last time we was together, but it's a nervous system event. It is not your true self, okay? When you are reacting to a situation, it is not your true self. Well, let me pull my slide up where we at. Okay. Let me pull my slide back over here. Okay. Reactions equal past memories that are firing. Remember, we talked about that. I don't think we need to go back over that. Someone tell me in the chat, hey, Sister Andrea, did we go over this the last time we were together, or am I being redundant in the teaching? Okay, because I don't want to be redundant. It's good to repeat, bring back to your memory, but we certainly don't want to be redundant. Okay, because reactions, okay, lead you into regulation. Okay, reaction and responding to a situation, it leads us into a situation which is called regulation. Okay, which is called regulation. Regulation creates access. Okay, you cannot access higher consciousness through a deregulated body or a dysregulated body. Okay, if your body is not in alignment, then you cannot enter into the higher access of consciousness. And this is what we want to do. You know, our consciousness is in us. So in actuality, we go into our consciousness, but our consciousness lead us to a higher ascension, a higher comprehension of what's going on around you in the physical realm. Because remember, nothing happens in the physical realm until it first takes place in the spiritual realm. We often get into situations, okay? We get into situations and we accidentally end up into a situation. We accidentally end up in a relationship. We accidentally end up in a city that we didn't plan to be in, And so we got to understand that if we fall into alignment with the creator, with the spirit realm, and that we are operating first from the spiritual realm and manifesting in the physical realm. That's where you want to get. You want to get to the place to where you are functioning in the spirit realm and manifesting in the physical. Now, here's the problem. The majority of people that you deal with function in the physical realm. And so, therefore, because you are getting your download from the spirit, the download that you are getting looks different than the experience that everybody else is having with you in it. Okay. Now, because you are in the experience, your perspective is going to be different than everybody else. And you don't necessarily want to follow where everyone else is going. Because you got to understand again that you're getting your information, you're getting your presentation, you're getting your picture, okay? And you're seeing the reality of what really exists, okay? What really exists. Just because everybody else can't see what you see doesn't mean that you're wrong, okay? Doesn't mean that you're wrong. So you got to be true to yourself and stand on your reality. Okay, your reality. Okay, because when you are out of alignment, when you are in a dysregulated situation, you block your revelation. You block your revelation. Okay, and when you block your revelation, now you saying, okay, what should I do now? What should I'm not getting the information? I'm not getting the information that I used to get because you have fallen out of alignment because you may have been going with the in crowd or you went against your first mind. You know how we say I should have followed my first mind? That was your download. That was your download, but you chose to go in a different direction. Okay. See, if the situation doesn't present a sense of peace, a sense of calm, okay, then that's not the gateway. Okay. Calm equals gateway. Okay. The direction. Okay. When you are regulating a situation, it opens up your perceptions. Okay, remember, your perception is what you see. Okay, is what you see, and so what you perceive is what should be important to you. Okay, not necessarily with what someone tell you it is. And girl, if I was you, I'll do this. Come on, man. You shouldn't let that happen. No. You, because remember, you are functioning from the spirit realm. That's the whole idea about being conscious, is that you are functioning in a different world, manifesting in a different system. Okay, because we function in a system. The world that we live in, okay, that we perceive to be the world, is not necessarily the world, it's the system that we're living in. Okay, because the system in the United States is different from the system in the UK. It's different from the system in Africa. It's different from the system in Israel. Okay, I'm giving you those examples that systems are different. Okay, and so you cannot view your experience only in the United States as the world. Okay, that's not necessarily the world. It's just the system that you are functioning in. So when you take charge, okay, and begin to regulate what happens, again, I often say, wherever I go, whatever I'm doing, I take charge. I believe that I am in charge of wherever I am. Okay. And I say that to say this: when you believe that you are in charge wherever you are, the truth of the matter is you are in charge because you are in charge of you. Okay. See, when you say that I'm in charge, people would take offense to it as if you have rule over them or you have rule over the event that you may be experiencing. No, no, no. That's not what you're saying. You're saying in your reality that I'm in charge because I'm in charge of me. You don't have to explain that to everybody. Okay. Because of the reason why you're acting the way you're acting and you're talking the way you're talking and that sort of thing. It ain't got nothing to do with everybody else and the environment that you're in. It has to do with you. Okay. You are only responsible for you. Okay. Everybody is responsible for themselves. So you have to be the regulator, okay, in your situation. Always be the regulator. Okay. You cannot access, or I already talked about that. Let me go to this. Let me move your screen. Okay. Now, remember I talked about the pause. Okay. The pause is your power. The pause is your power. Believe that when you pause, everything else stops. Even though in the physical reality, things will continue to go on, okay? However, if you are functioning from a place of consciousness, what's going on in the physical reality has already paused, okay? Has already paused to you because you pause in your consciousness in the spirit realm. And because you paused in your consciousness in the spirit realm to get your download on how to function or how to manage a particular situation until you get your direction, reality in the physical realm does not continue until you enter back in. Are you following me? See, in the spirit realm, there's life in the spirit realm, and it is going on. Just like in the physical realm, life is going on. But the difference is the spirit realm controls the physical realm. Okay? Now, you have to look at this singularly, not as a group, because everybody's perception is going to be different. So you have to look at this for yourself, that before I act in the physical realm, I'm getting my direction in the spiritual realm. And I understand that everything delays when I pause. Okay. Because when you pause intentionally and knowingly that you are now resorting back to your inner person, that lets you know that everything outside has stopped. Even if it doesn't appear that way, okay? And just let's do it like this. When you step out of yourself for a moment right now and look at where you are, okay? See yourself where you are. If you can do that, then you have a spiritual connection, knowing that you can be in the spirit looking at the actual physical realm when you step out of yourself and just see yourself. Remember, you are the observer of your reality. You are observing what's going on in your life. Okay. And the observer can give direction to the participant in your life. Okay. That person that is representing you in the physical realm, the observer is the spirit, and the spirit or the observer can give direction to that what I want to call it, that person or that avatar that is representing that spiritual you in the physical realm. Okay. So if you took a moment to remove yourself from yourself and see you in sitting on that couch or sitting in your chair watching the television on YouTube, or whatever you doing, whatever your environment is, get out of yourself and see that. See if you can see that. That ought to validate your spiritual identity, and that your spiritual identity is separate from your physical identity. Okay? That's how you can test and see if you are becoming more aware of who you really are. You really are a spirit, okay, having a human experience. You're not a human. You are a spirit having a human experience, okay? Now, the pause that I've been talking about is your power. The moment between stimulus and response is where identity is chosen, okay? Stimulus points to the pause, okay? The pause gives you your response, okay? The pause gives you your awareness. Awareness gives you your authority. Your authority gives you your transformation. Okay? This is Romans. Remember, Romans 12 said, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by a different understanding, by the renewing of your mind. Okay? That's where we're trying to get us to the place to where we are being renewed and not being controlled. Okay, because everybody in this system are subject to be under the control of the system. Okay. My daughter and I be having conversation about what's going on in the world, and her worldview is that, you know, she's just looking at our government and other governments. She's looking at the level that our government is participating on, and the information that is derived from our government about what we are experiencing is being given to them. And I try to share with her that there are higher powers. There are levels beyond our United States government. And so she hasn't been able to grasp that there's levels, because when you look at how our government used to function and how it functions now, you just gotta conclude that these individuals that's in Congress are not just allowing one person to do whatever they are doing, okay? They are being told how they are to respond because they want the individual to do what they're doing, okay? And so a lot of things are going on. Remember, all of these different systems, okay? The whole uh, world system has many systems within it. Okay, it's kind of like your body. You know, you have your skeletal system, you have your blood system, you have your nervous system, but they all are in one body. Okay, so there's multiple systems that are in what we call the world that is going on all simultaneously. Okay. Now, let me see where I want to go from here. Let's see here. Again, if you have any questions, you can ask it in the chat and I'll pause to answer your question. The next point I want to make here is that transformation is integration. And see, a lot of this is written in my book, Faith, From Faith to Consciousness. And it will give you, it breaks it down a lot clearer, I think, because I took time to write about it. See, I have decided to whatever I'm teaching, I'm going to write a book on it. Right now I got I think 7 or 8 books ready to be released because that's all I've been doing is pecking away at the computer, integrating my thoughts on paper, hoping that individuals will be able to read it because they may not like looking at me or anything like that, or may not like sitting down listening to YouTube. They may prefer to read. I guarantee you that these books are going to be beneficial to your ability to become more aware. See, that's the key, is becoming more aware, because when you are aware, now you realize that you are observing what's going on in your life. You can begin to look at your life and see what needs to be extracted and what needs to be added, because you are on the outside looking in. When you are observing something, you are on the outside looking in. You are learning from the experiences. Okay. It's kind of like when we observe our children, how they develop, we know what to adjust and what to add to their development. Okay. And so these books can become very beneficial to you and help you to get to the place of being transformed and having the ability to integrate information into your spirit, to infuse your physical. Okay. Transformation is not emotional intensity. Okay. That's important. Transformation, we see a lot of emotional intensity in our places of worship. People get real excited, but really don't understand what they're being excited about. Okay. It's kind of like, Um, I heard the other day that a friend, well, not a friend of mine, but this individual said that he don't do anything on Sundays because that's the Lord's day. Okay. Now, number one, Sunday was never the Lord's day. The Lord's day was always recognized according to the Hebrews on Saturday. Okay, so he's out of alignment, even though his efforts and his desires is intact, but he's out of alignment if he's trying to conform to a religious way of living. Okay, it's kind of like uh, people observe Good Friday because they say that that's the day that Jesus died on. Well, no, Jesus didn't die on Friday, because remember, back in those days, they didn't live in 24-hour cycles, they lived in 12-hour cycles. So Jesus had to be put to death if he rose on Sunday, okay, because they said he rose from the dead on Sunday. But if you count the days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday would make the third day of completion. So he would have risen after the third day, which would be Monday. So therefore, we'd have to look at Thursday, okay, being the day of crucifixion. So he was in the grave all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday. Then he rose on Sunday morning. See, if you do the math and if you research that story, properly, you would discover that the story that is told in Christianity is out of alignment. Okay, it's out of alignment. Okay, so we gotta get rid of the physical intensities that we go through, these emotional experiences, and become more aware of what we're going through. Become more aware of how can I change my situation, because you have the authority to change your situation because you sit on the outside looking in. Okay. You can prevent things from happening by knowing that those things are going to happen before they happen because you've already seen it in the spirit realm. Okay. Now, the only way that you prevent things from happening, okay, in the physical realm, because you have no control over anyone else that will be connected to that situation in the physical realm. You only have authority over you. So if you change you're going to change that situation because you're not going to act the same way that you saw in the spirit realm. You're going to change your response. And when you change your response, you change the outcomes. See, it's not about other people, it's about you. Okay? If nothing change in you, nothing changes. Okay? For you. So you have to change you by seeing what's in front of you as it pertains to your situation. You gotta just look at your situation. Damn everybody else. You can't, because you can't control everybody else. That's why you can't pray for nobody else, because you cannot take authority over them. And the Creator, if the Creator responds to prayer in that manner, is not going to operate against the individual that you're praying about's will. Because what you're praying about might not be what the individual wants. So, as Jesus says, not my will, but thy will. Okay? So, we can pray all we want and think that the Creator hears us and that the Creator is going to respond to our prayer. But the Creator cannot, will not respond to us asking it to do something that would be totally against the will of the other individual. Now, we can stand in agreement if we know our child or our spouse or our friend is praying about a particular thing, then we can go into agreement with them and create more synergy for that thing to happen. But because you are entering into that prayer from a different perspective, it would behoove you to try to get the other individual to come up under your understanding, because as the scripture says, the fervent prayers avails much. Okay, the effectual prayers avail much, because if a person is praying from the physical, then their prayer and their participation with that energy becomes distorted. Okay, because they're not in alignment with how the energy is to ascend. Okay, in order for the energy to descend. Okay, so it will help when you try to bring others into your alignment of comprehension on how we're going to pray. Okay, how we're going to pray. You know, I just was doing a lot of research on the topic of love, and there are multiple Hebrew words in particular that the Hebrew writers use when it comes to love, and there are several Greek words. Okay, and as I align the two, the Greeks in their words of understanding of love, you know, agape, eros, phileo, you know, it all has to do with physical function. To where when you look at the words in the Hebrew language, you know, it talks about dode, you know, it talks about ahava, it talks about hesed, you know, all of that has to do with spiritual connection. Okay, having a spiritual connection versus in the Greek is talking about having a physical connection and function. So my book that comes out, that will be coming out, that deals with love, faith is the substance, but love is the key. And as I write about the understanding of love, the multiple facets of love, and when you understand the multiple facets of love, then you will be able to identify where other individuals are coming from, you know, especially, you know, people tell you, I love you, I love you. That's all I hear people when they leave. They say, I love you, I love you. I don't know if you know what you're saying. And I don't know what you're saying because you say, I love you. You know, so we use that word so loosely, and we don't know what we're really activating when we use that word. I very seldom use the word. You know, I if I say it, I'm coming from a particular meaning. Okay, I mean something when I'm gonna utilize that word love. I'm not just going to loosely use the word love. I see my cousin Robin Hughes. She's on online, and after every conversation her and I have, she says, "I love you." And I know what she means, and so I receive, you know, her sentiment to me about love. Um, but when people generally are saying, you know, I love you, I love you, I love you, I ain't feeling that. I'm not feeling that. You know, that's where I be coming from. I'm not really feeling that. Okay. Now, transformation is emotional intensity. It is regulated embodiment. Okay. It's a part of we still alive, I think. I think we still live. HP, USB. Okay. I don't know what happened. Computer went down, blanked out. Every time I get on a great topic, something happened digitally. Um, Thank you, Brother Charles. Um, and we went out for a minute, but we back on. But I lost my screen. Let me see if I can bring back up my screen that you guys were watching. What page are we on? Getting there. Transformation. Okay. And it transformation includes a regulated body, a clear perception. Okay, what you perceive, what you see. Okay, because when you see something, then you get a perspective. Okay, a perspective informs you on what you see. Okay, and then you get a conscious response and a stable identity. We for a couple years ago we were dealing with concept, perception, perception, preception, and conclusion. Now I was on that a couple years ago, and now all of this is coming full circle into a deeper presentation of what we talked about when we were dealing with the formula of concept and perception and perspective and conclusion. If my elder was on, he would bring that back up and be able to show you that. But again, we have to get to the place of transforming. Yeah. Sister Andrea saying, yes, I say I love you to my family and some friends every time I see them. And you want, when the book comes out and you understand how the Hebrews in particularly utilize the word love, because the word love is used multiple times in the Old Testament, but it doesn't always mean the same thing. Okay, it depends on the context to which the writer was saying that God said, or that somebody said this, or somebody's experiencing that. So when you understand the context and the definition of the word love that we've been taught about, we primarily been taught about love from the New Testament, where it's more physical than spiritual. Everything in the New Testament is more physical than spiritual. The Old Testament is primarily more spiritual. Okay, more spiritual. So I'm not knocking the fact that people say, I love you, I love you, I love you. I don't know what you mean when you say you love me, based on my knowledge of love. Okay. General individuals receive that as an act of endearment. Okay. Because when you tell your husband or your man, your mate, or I love you, you mean something different when you say that to them than when you say it to your friends. So it has various different contexts and meaning behind it when you say it. You know, so know what you're saying, because again, those are energies. Those are energies. Someone can really take it the wrong way when you say I love you. They can take that the wrong way and think that you're trying to hit on them, or you opened up an invitation to them. Okay. And I appreciate that, Sister Andrea. I love you to me means I wish the best for you. See, that she's developed a definition for when she say, I love you, okay, that she's wishing the best for you. But when she tells her better half, I love you, I think she would be saying something more than I wish the best for you. Okay. And that's the distinction that I'm trying to draw here, is that because you're functioning in the metaphysics, because you're using spiritual powers, you want to understand how and when you are using a particular power. Okay, a particular power. Because if a sister say I love you to me, she can say I love you or I love you, and she got to look and that sort of thing. I might take that as an invitation, or that she's interested in me or something like that. So it all depends on the delivery and the intent of utilizing that term. So, Sister Andrea, just to help us, if you were going to say I love you to your mate, what would you be meaning behind that? What would be your meaning behind that? So we got 5 minutes left. I didn't know I was going to be on here this long. All right. Just to recap some of my main teaching points that I lifted up thus far: responsibility regulates the nervous system, and your nervous system has everything to do with your function. Okay. Regulation creates safety. Safety allows truth to be received. Revelation without responsibility overwhelms you. Okay. Responsibility turns insight into embodiment. Okay. It turns insight into embodiment. All right, let's see here. Revelation without responsibility becomes distortion. When insight arrives before ownership. Okay. Andrea, thank you. To my mate, I love you with me. I got your back. I only want the best for you and us. See, now see, Andrea was able, through these teachings tonight, if she hadn't already developed a definition for her use her usage of love, she now has two definitions that she is familiar with and that she understands. Okay. See, Prior to that, she may have never written down what her definition is when she used the word love. Now she has more perspective. And see, this is the goal of these teachings, is to give you a better perspective on where you are, give you more awareness of where you are and what you're about. Okay. The mind uses truth to escape rather than to embody. Okay. The mind does that. People turn revelation into spiritual bypassing, religious superiority. God told me, without accountability. You know, people always say, God told me, God told me, God told me. I was just talking to a brother tonight, and he told me that he and his friends were deciding to do something. And one guy said, well, God told me to quit smoking weed, but he didn't tell him to quit smoking cigarettes. You know, I would think if God told you to quit smoking weed, he's really telling you to quit smoking. Okay. Responsibility grounds revelation, so truth lands in the body, not just the intellect. All right, all right, all right. I appreciate you all for tuning in tonight. It's 8 o'clock. We are asking that you continue to tell somebody about the program. You know, invite others to sit with you or to tune in with you, and then be able to have conversation with them. Write down 3 things that you may have heard tonight that helped you, that your friend that you invited has written down 3 things. Now you guys got 6 things to talk about, okay? And to become more aware of, because you may have wrote down the same thing, but you understood it differently. So invite somebody to come on, tell somebody about my book, and we will see you again on next Sunday. And hopefully, our moderator will be back with us. May the Creator continue to bless you. Thank you, Sister Andrea, for your participation in sharing your heart with us. And thank all of you again. May the Creator continue to bless you, is our prayer.